sort of goal, objective, philosophy, whatever you want to call it, is just to bring films to Iowa, to Central Iowa, that are not going to be necessarily at any of the other theaters, and that's honestly, it's really as simple as that. It's bringing something that people can't get anywhere else. That's because so many other screens are filled with much bigger movies. I just recently read a statistic that said 5% of the movies in the United States are shown on 95% of the screens in the United States, and that leaves 95% of the movies are not out there readily available to people, and so we try to tilt that balance a little bit and bring people something else to see.
That is fascinating, and especially since people say there's nothing to see anymore, but they have no idea.
Right. Yeah. It is amazing how I'll be speaking with someone and they'll say, yeah, so what movies do you have out there? And I'll name off the 4 or 5 movies that we have, and say, oh, I haven't heard of any of those. They'd be 4 really great movies that I'm sure they would like, or at least like 2 or 3 of them. And first thing we do is we try to find the movies that aren't necessarily going to be at the other theaters. We have relationships that we've built over the years with the various distributors of the movies. We also have a booking agent who has a much longer relationship with a lot of the distributors, and a lot of the time, it's not so much which movies we want. Unfortunately, some of the times it's which movies are we able to get. A lot of the times, the decision comes down to is that distributor willing to take a chance by sending their movie to Des Moines, Iowa. Over the years, we found that we're starting to build a reputation and build a customer base to where the distributors are seeing, yeah, we can send a movie to Des Moines, Iowa, and we are going to get a good return on it, and hopefully that'll continue to grow. I hear this a lot. Like, people will come in, maybe 2 people or a small group of people, and some of them will say, "Oh wow, I've never been here before," and the person that's with them is like, "Oh, we're here all the time. It's our favorite place." And so what started out as 2 people, coming here all the time, then became 4, and I think that happens a lot. We've got a pretty nice atmosphere here. We sell coffee, and beer and wine is a pretty big draw. The other thing that we found that gets people in here who wouldn't normally come is every once in a while we would pick up a more mainstream film. Part of that is we get people who want to see the mainstream films, see that we have it here, and go, "Oh, I've never been there. I hear that we can get a beer while we drink there, or while we watch it there." So then they'll come in, watch the mainstream movie that they're used to watching, see a preview for a couple of independent movies we've got coming up, see our coming soon posters, and then they come back 2 weeks later to something else. And that we've found that that's actually a really good way to get new people in here and let everything. We've got about 3,000 people who get that email list. Of course, we're on Twitter and Facebook and all those kind of outlets as like right now we have this The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which is of course the books are huge, and it's a Swedish film. Right now it's in its 10th week here, which is just kind of ridiculous how long that movie has been here, but it just keeps going and going, and that's actually a good word of mouth example. People see that movie and tell their friends about it and keep coming back. Slumdog Millionaire was a really big one last year. We had that movie for about 5 months. We had that movie. Actually, it's kind of fun. The movie that really kicked off the Fleur way back in 2002, or excuse me, 2001 was My Big Fat Greek Wedding. That movie was here for 7 months.
Thank goodness.
7 months, and so really, the small movies that make it big, those are the movies that do really well here. The small movies that don't start off at the bigger theaters, but start off at the smaller theaters, and they grow and grow, and word of mouth keeps them hanging on for. We want to be part of Des Moines. We want to be part of the not only the business community in Des Moines, but also the film community in Des Moines. We regularly donate to various charities and these kind of things. We're partners with a couple of businesses here in town with sort of similar feels. Stage West, we found that we share a lot of the same patrons, so we work together with them. A couple of Kryptonite, the comic book place across the way here. We generally do some cross-promotional kind of things with them. But then, as well as local film, the 48-Hour Film Project is a big one. We love being the venue for that every year. Every year there's a screening of the film Serenity. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, but it's a science fiction film, and the director of the film screens the movie every year, and all the proceeds go to one of his favorite charities, and they come and they have costume contests, and it's a really big deal and a lot of fun, and that's one of our other favorite things that we do every year. And then local filmmakers. We're always opening our doors to local filmmakers who would want to come in and let their wares be shown to Des Moines, and it's nice that we can supply a venue for that. About 5 months ago, I had a couple of people who moved on to other things, and I was looking for an assistant manager. So I put the word out that I was looking for an assistant manager, and I was very surprised at the number of applicants and resumes that I got from people who, over the course of the past year or so, had actually moved to Des Moines to work in various aspects on the different film productions that were happening here. Clearly Des Moines and Iowa in general had become enticing enough for these people to literally move and put down roots in Des Moines to work in the industry, and suddenly that was yanked out from under them. And I probably got 15 to 20 resumes from people who, the resumes were all film production credits, and it really amazed me that in the short time that the tax credits had been put in place and that whole program had been going, how many people actually moved here for those jobs, and it was surprising. It was very surprising. I'd love people to know that we don't. The movies we hear aren't. You don't have to be afraid of them. We've got some really great stuff here that some people won't necessarily give it a chance. Because it doesn't have this star, or it's not this romantic comedy, or it doesn't have giant robots, or whatever. Not that there's anything wrong with giant robots, but sometimes it's good to have more than giant robots. It's always I guess disheartening when people will immediately dismiss a film, even if it's a film that we don't have here, because they've never heard of it. It's got subtitles. Oh no. Because a lot of the time, people are really sort of denying themselves an opportunity to see a really great film.